Hey everybody, welcome to PC Perspective. I'm Ryan Shroud, joined by Alan Malventano. And today we're going to talk about this massive monitor in front of us. It's big enough you might consider it a TV. This is actually a 40-inch 4K monitor from Seiki, part of their new Seiki Pro line. What's the exact model here? This is the
SM40UNP.
SM40UNP. So this is it's a 40-inch diagonal display.
It is.
It is large.
Yeah, especially when it's sitting in front of you on your desk.
When you put this on your desk, it is large. You might be able to make this a TV. It's got capable inputs, but it's really a monitor.
Yeah. It has absolutely nothing that has to do with like TV type stuff. Like there's no tuners.
There's no tuners or anything.
It's just like what you would expect on a regular PC monitor.
So what are the important specifications of this display? I already mentioned it's 4K 60 hertz.
It is 4K 60. You have 2 DisplayPort, 2 HDMI. The DisplayPort is 1.2. The HDMI is not HDMI 2.
Okay, so it's HDMI 1.4 still.
Right.
Which means it can do 4K at 30 hertz. But if you want 4K at 60, you're going to have to use DisplayPort.
Yep, and you've got DVI, which I believe is dual link, and VGA.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. So you've got all kinds of input
all kinds of inputs. It has a 4-port USB 3.0 hub built into it.
Yeah.
It's actually, this reminds me right here, there's a headphone jack, not just like your regular line out style audio out, meant to go to like speakers, so your DisplayPort audio could just like be amplified.
Right.
But there's also a headphone, like there's actually a preamp in this display for headphones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So that's cool. You can just have headphones plugged right into it and just be listening.
Getting audio through your HDMI or DisplayPort.
Yep, right from the panel.
Into it. Okay. What about, so it's part of their Pro series. Seiki was actually the very first company that we ever got hands-on with 4K displays at all.
Yes.
Years ago, I bought a 50-inch 4K Seiki TV. I think it was like $1,500 at the time. It was an amazing price for it.
Yeah.
We've since seen 32-inch versions of that. They've come out with displays. This is part of the Pro series.
And there have been a lot of people using them as like PC displays.
They have.
Just because of the cost.
Yeah, they were extremely low cost, and this still kind of fits into that template, right? It's $1,000.
Yeah, it is more expensive.
It's
obviously.
not cheap, but for a maybe Pro Series display, that seems fairly reasonable. What kind of like out-of-box experience did you get with it? The Pro Series kind of sets a certain level of expectations.
Yeah, actually, out of box, just colors, just like the screen is just really beautiful to look at.
Okay.
Right, it's just a really nice screen. I think it's a little bit more on the glossy side. Like it's not a gloss reflective, panel. But it has anti-glare, but it's not as aggressive of an anti-glare. So if you have a black background, you can kind of just see yourself.
Right.
You're just like, oh look, that's me. So
what kind of screen technology is it built on?
I believe it's PBA.
Okay. All right. So it's in between TN and IPS.
In between TN and IPS.
Okay.
It looks pretty darn good.
The Asus PQ321 4K monitor that we saw released a few years ago was a VA, I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Oh, it was actually
IGZO?
It was an IGZO display. So another kind of in-between technology there.
Right. This looks really good. Out of box.
Viewing angles good too?
Out of box colors were good once I turned it off of the default 11,000 color temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of, I don't know why it came that way, but you can select 6,500 and then it gets it pretty darn close. I think it was like within 2.
Okay. Of like actual calibration.
Yeah,
so you actually went through and did the full.
Yeah. We hooked up the Spider 4 and ran through some open source software and just did a full blown calibration on it, which actually makes it look even better, obviously, because the curves in this are never going to be perfect for a full calibrated screen, right? So once it was calibrated, it looked even better, and does some other kind of really cool things, like you can take 4 inputs and basically make the display all the way up to quad, like it'll divide the screen in 4.
Okay, so you can basically have just 4 even kind of 1080p windows into content.
They don't have to be 1080p, they could be 4K.
So you can have a 4K image kind of taking up 1/4 of the screen.
Right.
Okay.
You'd kind of have to squint at it, and
reading
is a little bit hard at that small of a thing, but it will take realize that HDMI, since it's not HDMI 2.0, it'll only be 4K 30. But you can have 4K 30 times 2, and then DisplayPort 4K 60 times 2, all going on the screen at the same time.
And that's all handled by the internal
the
scale.
The scaler takes care of that.
That's pretty impressive.
And it does other in-betweens, like you can do 3 and 2. You can do like picture-in-picture.
Yeah.
Has some selections for, you can kind of sort of change the size of the picture-in-picture,
Gotcha.
you know, and what corner it puts it at and stuff like that. So you know, it's pretty decent options. Latency seemed low. I'm usually pretty sensitive to latency, and I didn't.
Alan's usually the complainer when it comes to
Yeah.
input lag on display. So you
Right.
thought that was good,
Yeah.
even with that scaler that it's using.
Yeah, even doing that, it didn't seem to be any more than a frame worth,
Okay.
like 16 milliseconds worth. So.
Now tell me about the experience of actually using a 40-inch monitor on your desktop at 4K resolution.
Yeah. One kind of issue that I noticed almost immediately is that I just wanted the display a little bit lower.
Right, so this stand is not height adjustable, what
Right.
you see here. So you can't lower it or raise it if you wanted to.
Right,
But you can't lower it.
And when the display is 40-inch diagonal, it's so much taller than anything else you're going to have when it's actually sitting in front of you at a desk. You're almost looking up, right? It's just totally different than any normal display you might be used to. So instinctively, you'd kind of want it like on the desk, basically.
You want maybe the bottom bezel to actually making contact with the stand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would have been nice. But other than that, just trying to do day-to-day stuff on it. I mean, it's just a huge piece of glass in front of you.
You previously had a 32-inch 4K sitting in front of you. This is
Yes.
a 40-inch 4K. Did you see a benefit to having the pixels just physically be larger in front of you?
Yes, because I would say this is the point where most people would probably be comfortable not using display scaling in Windows.
Okay.
You can get away with it at this size. With a 32, it was kind of squinty.
It kind of puts things in perspective when we see how many 28-inch 4K monitors there are out there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You really have to use DPI scaling for those to even, unless you have some kind of
So you were
magnifying
using
glasses.
this with no window scaling.
Nope.
As a 4K display just kind of sitting in front of you. And productivity-wise,
Yeah.
you could have multiple browser windows open, multiple searches open, videos open. You could have all that stuff running at the same time. I imagine that's pretty compelling argument for a monitor this size. Like I am actually debating kind of taking this and using it on my desk for a little while to see how it works. I currently have two 25 by 16 monitors, so I would be losing some horizontal distance in favor of vertical distance, and I'm not really sure how that would pan out.
I was trying to retrain myself into using that. Like if I was looking at reading a review on our site or reading comments or anything like that, I was trying to force myself to make the windows taller because I kept just finding myself making them the same size they were for me normally, like the same height, and probably the top third of the whole screen I was mostly leaving unused. And even if I was trying to also, if I had a video playing of something, or was just trying to watch something in the background and kind of push it off up into the corner, it was almost like too far over. Like my periphery couldn't even really see the video just because the screen is just so massive, right? It's just such an angle to go all the way over into that corner, right? Just for your field of vision. So, yeah, I mean, takes getting used to.
I think gaming-wise, this would be a really impressive display to use as well. If you're interested in 4K gaming, like a 4K 32-inch, you don't have to worry about the DPI scaling issue necessarily when you're gaming, right? Because pixels are, more higher pixel density is usually better when you're looking at rendered images. You'd probably want to be a little bit further back.
That's what I was going to say. If you were doing a lot of gaming and not trying to, use Windows with no scaling, I would definitely put it back maybe another 6 inches.
Is this something you would recommend then for $1,000 for somebody in particular? Is there a classification of person or user that this makes sense for?
I would think it's really good for anybody doing video editing, first of all.
Content creation type stuff.
Content creation type stuff. Yeah, it's just really large display. You can be running it at 4K and not
video editing, photo editing, the good color calibration, plenty of space. You're getting, 1-to-1 pixel ratios on everything. You don't have to do any scaling stuff.
I mean, it calibrated to within. I mean, it must have been like 99% or higher in sRGB color gamut. So it was good. Yeah.
Okay. One feature I would like to see, and I think Seiki has told us they're planning for another model maybe late this year into early next year, is Hdmi 2.0.
Right.
I think that would be something somebody would like to see. If you do happen to want to use this as a kind of a multi-head input, display port from your graphics card, HDMI 2 input from something like a Shield TV or some other kind of media player that will do 4K eventually. That might be an option as well. Alan has a full review over at PCPer.com. You can see more pictures, stuff about the OSD, his experiences using. I'm sure you have some pictures of kind of like the multi-head input, all that stuff working. So definitely check that out. It's over at PCPer.com, where we'll put a link in the description below. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Thanks.